Yeah, there we go. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be breaking down IGN's campaign walkthrough thing. Yeah, there we go. Let me know if this is if the audio levels are good and everything. So, guys, this almost 12-minute long video came out today and has tons and tons of details. Lots of brand new gameplay. Basically, the IGN host talks about their experience playing the game, and this stuff is really cool. I thought that I would do a live breakdown just because, you know, in a way it's kind of more convenient than making a video and breaking it down. But I just wanted to have this video just to experience the whole thing with you guys. Now, I did watch it once before, but there are some significant differences. I actually just noticed this. Look at that grapple shot. There's actually been some changes in the cutscene, specifically this one back in 2018. But we'll get to this. But I actually like this way more than the other one because we actually see the family. You know, before it was kind of like hard to tell what was going on, but now we're getting a little bit more personal with the pilot. Some of the cutscenes that we're familiar with have changed. The game is looking great. I believe that there is a bunch of brand new, there are tons of new campaign images that we will be going over. So yeah, I want to watch this with you guys. So I'll be pausing it and talking about it and breaking everything down that I've noticed that's pretty cool. So let's begin.
The biggest surprise I had coming out of my few hours of playing Halo Infinite's campaign wasn't the delightful exploration nor the incredibly fun gunplay. Instead, it came down to the characters. Halo Infinite sees the legendary Master Chief once again tasked with saving the universe from yet another threat. And after 5 major campaigns, the Chief seems tired. He's a man of few words, but his movements and responses are heavier than I've seen before. This is Chief without Cortana. His subtle yet distinct change is far from a bad thing, though. If anything, Master Chief's forlorn demeanor that he sets aside to get the job done is a great indication to me that Halo Infinite's story is intended to be a more impactful adventure.
Alright guys, let me know if the audio is fixed. It should be coming out both sides now. So the very first thing I want to talk about, in fact, a lot of the things that I've heard from my inside sources as well as rumors and leaks and that thing seem to be backed up in this video, such as that the world is not excessively big. It's not something you're going to see in Assassin's Creed, or might I say, from what I've heard and seen, is GTA 5. I mean, this world is pretty big, but it's not as big as some people are hoping that it is. I actually really do like this. We see a little bit more of this later, but this kind of creepy cutscene of these, you know, the henchmen of Atriox kind of gathering around. And it looks like I was wrong. It looks like Jaga is actually going to be in some cutscene speaking with Eshuram and this guy, and she does talk about it later, but IGN's host says that the boss battles are actually pretty tough here. We actually get a glimpse of a lot of different cutscenes throughout this, which is just there's not a whole lot we can say about it because we're missing obviously a lot of context, but this shows the Infinity. And I have a theory that I've been saying for like 4 or 5 years now, is that I believe the Infinity was just destroyed, blown up, which isn't that crazy because we know that the UNSC have been defeated, that they're spread out on Zeta Halo, that Eshuram defeated the UNSC forces. So, yeah, let's keep watching a little bit of this.
It's been 6 months. Where have you been?
What happened? Where is Cortana?
Chief's stern determination is also wonderfully contrasted to his new AI companion's bubbly enthusiasm and his pilot rescuer's anxiety and weariness. Given developer...
Speaking of which, I believe these two characters I'm glad to hear that, and I'm that these characters are great, that they're going to be adding a lot to the story, because after what we got with Halo 5, she even brings it up that obviously Agent Locke was a bad character, and he was pretty much the main character of Halo 5, had no motivation, yada yada. But now we have the weapon, we have Cortana, we even see Dr. Halsey in this, and I believe it's going to be some kind of flashback, and I think the dialogue is actually taken straight from Fall of Reach, which is just a really cool thing. And I'll let you guys see that here soon. But
343
these characters
Industries'
look
failure
great.
to give Locke the faintest hint of a personality or motive in Halo 5, and the game's generally lackluster story, this was a relief.
No, not then.
Not again! We need to run!
I need a weapon.
Weapon? This is all I've got.
It's enough.
Halo Infinite's contrasting characters aren't the only things to look forward to, though. Rewarding exploration infused with Halo's DNA and genuinely challenging combat could be relief in today's open-world game extravaganza, where many worlds are packed to the brim with chores and only a few offer meaningful adventures beyond their main path.
So I wanna play that again, and you guys listen closely if you missed that. Also, look at this. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, so this screenshot is probably the most realistic look we're gonna get at the campaign gameplay, at least in the more unattractive areas. As you can see, it's beautiful, but it's not. I mean, this is a realistic look at the world with real-time lighting. Just throwing that out there. I think.
With chores and
but listen to
open-world
this
game
again.
extravaganza, where many worlds are packed to the brim with chores and only a few offer meaningful adventures beyond their main path. If things continue the way I played in my 4-hour hands-on time, I think Halo Infinite could fall into the latter. That's not to say there aren't some essential elements of Halo Infinite I'm curious to see if 343 can pull off.
So I believe what she said there, and I may be mistaken, but is that the world in the campaign is going to be a bit repetitive, which is something that I feared and been told. I believe that is going to be somewhat of a problem outside of the main campaign. I hope that it's outside the main story. I'm gonna guess these red dots, and we'll probably be able to confirm this later, is that these red dots are targets or side quests of Banished, fortresses or something like that. And the tower here is going to be obviously part of the main quest. It's a pretty big part of the campaign, I believe. She actually does talk about it later, but campaign missions are going to be more like dungeons in this world. And at first, you're going to be kind of locked to a small part of the campaign, but eventually you'll be able to explore everything, which I do like.
If things continue the way I played in my 4-hour hands-on time, I think Halo Infinite could fall into the latter. That's not to say there aren't some essential elements of Halo Infinite I'm curious to see if 343 can pull off, like Chief's storyline with Cortana. For now, what I played in my preview session has left me even more eager for Halo Infinite's December 8th launch.
Oh, I love that.
216, can you hear me? This is UNS.
Time and time again, Master Chief has woken up to fight a new enemy. Halo Infinite largely sees that pulled back by instead focusing on familiar fodder.
Oh my gosh! So here's a part of this cutscene. So some people are saying, I actually misheard that. So yeah, that does make sense. So I think I mean even if the campaign objectively has like some destroy 3 objectives, that's fine. We'll see how the game turns out. Overall, I am excited for this game. I'm not trying to bring you down
Halo
or anything.
Infinite largely sees that pulled back.
But look at this guy's teeth. I love it. I love the armor and I love the art style. I think they really nailed this.
On familiar fodder with the Banished from Halo Wars 2. They eagerly step up as Chief's main adversaries after handily defeating the UNSC around Zeta Halo.
So I was under the impression when we first started getting this, when this game started coming out, obviously we want to focus very much on Master Chief, right? Most of the cutscenes are going to take place with Master Chief. It's going to be there through gameplay. We're always going to have that one shot throughout the whole campaign, which I think is possible, but I don't think 343 is going to neglect the narrative and story. And why I'm saying this is because there's going to be Banished cutscenes, right? And I'm curious about how the transition's going to go. Maybe it goes into a hologram and then it cuts to some flash forward or flashback where we're actually getting an inside look with the Banished. And man, these cutscenes, every single cutscene I've seen so far just looks so beautiful and so fresh. Oh my gosh, I just love it.
Eagerly step up as Chief's main adversaries after handily defeating the UNSC around Zeta Halo, including Master Chief. Their goal for Zeta Halo is unknown, but if it involves a Halo ring, there's nothing good that can come of it. After the UNSC's loss, Master Chief's main objective becomes...
So that was pretty important too. We know that Atriox was trying to get, I believe, Installation 09 made, and then obviously he failed, getting that ring in Halo Wars 2. But here we are again. It seems like from everything I've heard and everything we're hearing here, Atriox is not present. And that's why I think Atriox is sort of like the rebooting of the prophets. Instead of 3 prophets, there's just one guy, and his name is Atriox.
Nothing good that
and Atriox is trying to get the rings for an unknown reason. And I believe it just makes sense that he wants to have power, but I think that's a really boring motive. I would like to see his character fleshed out in the next game after this. And I want Ashuram to have a personal motive, because if he doesn't, I think he's going to be as flat and boring as a character as Locke was. Everyone needs to have a motive outside of orders. Orders are the most boring motive a character could have.
can come of it.
But their motive is unknown, which is curious. That's not the worst thing ever. That can work.
After the UNSC's loss, Master Chief's main objective becomes freeing the captured Allied forces on Zeta Halo and thwarting whatever the Banished are planning.
I am Escharum, War Chief of the Banished. This is my world now.
Ooh, I love it. I love this is how I believe transitions are going to happen through, because again, the cutscenes are set up in one shot, kind of like God of War, where I believe we're going to have cutscenes with the Banished, and then it's going to transition into a hologram that Master Chief's watching or something, or vice versa. I think that is such a cool, clever way of transitioning between the bad guys and the Master Chief and the hero's journey. But yeah, these cutscenes, I mean, Halo 5 had great cutscenes, but it was pretty emotionless. This is great.
War Chief of the Banished. This is my world now.
Cortana was presented as a mystery rather than as a primary antagonist in what I played. What happened to her after Halo 5 and whether or not she's been truly destroyed is unknown.
So, just to repeat there, basically, Cortana is not a main antagonist, at least in the first 4 hours of this game. She is more of a mystery if she's dead or not, which I find curious because, again, a thing that I've heard repeatedly over and over is that, I've said over and over, is that it's weird that Cortana would be, is colored blue, and then the weapon is colored blue. And the fact is that she's actually changed colors since I've said that. We've now seen that Cortana is purple, which we will see soon with with Dr. Halsey and Cortana herself. But I'm curious about the connection between the weapon and Cortana. My theory was that they fused or will fuse into one character, but I really have no idea at this point. I just think it's interesting that the weapon is a blue, and I can't help but think that she's going to get through this and Cortana will not. So let me know your thoughts about that. I would love to see the weapon and Cortana actually interact and maybe even fight it out, however AIs might do that.
This crucial conflict seemingly takes a backseat to the larger fight with the Banished, though it is intertwined somehow. Without getting into spoilers, I will say the few moments that dug into Chief and Cortana's relationship were an emotional gut punch. Halo Infinite is looking to deliver a meaningful story for legacy Halo fans, and I really needed to fulfill that promise after Halo 5's story missteps.
Here it is.
She's not the driver, but a way to level the playing field.
What do I call her?
Ask her. She named herself.
Hello, Master Chief. I'm Cortana.
Oof.
This all
So not many people know this, I think, but I actually looked into it. Master Chief and Cortana have only known each other for like 45, 46 days throughout all the Halo games, excluding Cryo. Obviously, the relationship is a gut punch to all of us, and I am so happy to see that we're going to be getting some kind of recap. Obviously, this game is going to be noob friendly. People that have never played a Halo game will understand what's going on, which says a lot, because that means that they're probably going to have to abandon a lot of plot threads, right? They're just going to have to drop a lot of plot threads, notably with Locke, notably with the Infinity, and all the drama behind that, and somehow explain everything that happened with Cortana in a coherent way. with that being said, I think that they're going to do this through these flashbacks. And it's great that we're already seeing an appearance of Dr. Halsey. I think she's super underrated.
After Halo 5
I don't think many
story
people
missteps.
really care much about her, but she is the mother of Cortana. I mean, she is Cortana, just, you know, an older version of Cortana. So seeing how she might connect to this story is interesting. But this is actually the dialogue, I believe, straight taken from Halo Fall of Reach, the comic book. I'm not sure about the book itself, the novel, but yeah, very cool. I expect to see a little bit more of this now.
Driver, but a way to level the playing field.
And also her hair's longer, I noticed, is kind of a cool aesthetic decision. And she looks like, I think she did in the comics, actually.
What do I call her?
Ask her. She named herself.
Hello, Master Chief. I'm Cortana.
This all being said,
Oh, and they added clothes to her, if you didn't notice.
I'm not optimistic that Halo Infinite is going to be a great starting point for new people to the franchise, as the best moments I saw in the first few hours rely on prior knowledge of the series.
So right there, really important. If you are a Halo fan, you're probably going to get the most out of this game. It's not the best entry to the franchise, which is actually good news to hear for us Halo fans, and actually kind of unexpected at this point because they went with the T-rated T rating, which is probably why we're not going to see Flood. Is obviously the game's free to play, which is trying to get new players into the game. But I like that they are keeping the campaign veteran friendly versus noob friendly, whereas the multiplayer, which can be, you know, more experimental, is I mean, oh my gosh, it's such a relief, right?
I don't like the idea of people being left behind, but I selfishly prefer that this game is made for returning Halo fans rather than tuning the story to accommodate new players. Familiar with the story or not, though, Halo Infinite sure
That
is fun
face
to
could be
play
a
and
meme.
explore.
What is he looking
Familiar with the story or not, though, Halo Infinite sure is fun to play and explore.
I think I'm with you. I didn't even know what a Banished was an hour ago, and even I can see the odds aren't great.
So something that maybe
Didn't even know.
hasn't come across many
Oh,
people's
Infinite-
heads right now is the relationship between the weapon and the pilot. See, I think she's kind of more like the comic relief, and he's more like the anxiety. I mean, they're both I mean, she even said this, the IGN host said this, that I'm so excited for the dynamic. I think these three characters are more of a cool team than I have seen in Halo since Halo 3 with the Arbiter and Master Chief and Cortana and Sergeant Johnson. Like, this is such a cool duo. Like, there could be a fourth. Maybe there shouldn't be, but oh my god, I'm excited to see how the pilot is reacting, because I feel like the pilot, in a way, is a vehicle for the players more than Master Chief. I mean, it depends on what kind of person you are, but he's expressing all the anxiety and worry. I mean, obviously, this is quite a dreadful situation. The UNSC's been defeated. He's been out in space, you know, for 6 months floating around, and now he's going to probably die in all this chaos. I mean, he's terrified. And I swear to God, I will cry if the pilot dies. I will. Probably on live stream, whenever I stream this game.
Sure is fun to play and explore.
I think I'm with you. I didn't even know what a Banished was an hour ago, and even I can see the odds aren't great.
See, I like the humor. I really do. Humor is something that we have not had in Halo, I feel like good humor that really hit. I mean, Bulk was kind of funny in Halo 5, but we really haven't had humor in Halo for 10 years now. Oh, besides the grunts, and the grunts is too easy. So.
Playing Halo Infinite is a mix of familiar and new. One moment you're navigating encounters and ship corridors, then the next you're driving several Marines around the open fields of Zeta Halo. As 343 has clearly stated, Halo Infinite isn't quite a true open world game despite it featuring massive sandboxes. Zeta Halo is broken up into island chunks. Land masses can be connected by bridges, and Chief can eventually call in things like a wasp to fly around anywhere after they're unlocked. So eventually we may get to freely explore unlocked areas, but our range will be limited and more focused at first. Zeta Halo is littered with UNSC camps called Forward Operating Bases that were claimed by the Banished after the UNSC lost the big fight. Clearing a base and reclaiming it replaces the Banished with Marines. Even better, cleared bases convert to instant fast travel points and earn you Valor. Worry not. Valor isn't some sort of spendable currency. It's instead a point-based tracker of how much ground the UNSC has on Zeta Halo. The more Valor you have, the better backup and gear you can call in. As far as I could tell, earning Valor and reclaiming the Broken Ring is entirely optional. So what else can you do when you're not hunting down the next clue to the Banished plan? People don't just get to give the Master Chief a fetch quest. The only one who really gives Master Chief any sort of command is a new AI codenamed the Weapon. She's meant to destroy Cortana and is in turn supposed to be destroyed when her operation is complete. Though Cortana is seemingly gone, the Weapon remains and is happy to assist Master Chief until she reaches her eventual demise.
So, you guys, I've seen this a few times, but she did mention a lot of important stuff, which we will break down here in a moment. But look at this. What does that look like? That looks like a castle, doesn't it? I'm curious about the rumors I've heard that this game was based on Zelda Breath of the Wild, and you can definitely see like the similarities, I think, right? I mean, obviously, if you don't know, Zelda is not a game that was like open world until Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, and same thing with Halo, it was linear based, and now it's kind of open world, and it had a lot more open world elements than it was like a year ago before Joseph Staten. Obviously, a lot of those cut because I think he said it didn't feel like Halo. Like there's like going to be an inventory system, and there's going to be like weapon crafting, and I think there is to some degree. But we do know that there are upgrades for the equipment. But anyways, I'm just wondering what's going on in this whole palacing and how it connects to the Harbinger, which we saw in that campaign trailer a week or two ago. Maybe it was like 3 weeks ago, actually. But we also keep seeing this, which I am still confident, 100% confident, that this is the Banished mothership, that this is another fortress to some extent, that we will probably have some interaction with. Maybe we'll go up there, maybe we won't. But I would like to see the thing have some kind of involvement with the story, right? Obviously. But yeah, let's just take a look at all this, because there's a lot of information here about how the open world works. And also, I just want to point out the Foreigner structures here. I mean, this is clean. This is the best stuff I've seen since Halo 3's time.
Playing Halo Infinite is a mix of familiar and new.
Love the art style.
One moment you're navigating encounters and ship corridors, then the next you're driving several Marines around the open fields of Zeta Halo.
So notice that there's no blood. There's been a lot of, I think there's been a few videos talking about the blood. There is no blood. There is some theory, actually there is a lot of good evidence behind it. It's that the game is not lacking blood because of for the T rating, but it's to actually make sure that the game is okay to publish and sell in China, because China has this new no blood law for any video games that China folks can play. So yeah, just thought that was interesting. Wish they could just make different versions. Maybe they're not supposed to, but yeah, I mean, the campaign is lacking blood a lot.
S343.
There is some blood, yeah. Obviously, you guys are saying there is some blood, but there's not like the blood you've seen in literally any other Halo game. So
has clearly stated, Halo Infinite isn't quite a true open world game despite it featuring massive sandboxes. Zeta Halo is broken up into island chunks.
So we actually get a look at the northern part of the map. We do know that Master Chief is on the Pelican in the beginning of the campaign, obviously, right? The first cutscene, the pilot finds Master Chief, and somehow he makes it to Zeta Halo. I believe that this is through jumping around Zeta Halo, as we saw in the concept screenshot. We saw Master Chief jetpacking through Zeta Halo's debris, and somehow he makes it onto Zeta Halo. But we see the northern part of the map here. We actually see a crashed UNSC ship here way up on the north of the map. This is the same, it looks like the same frigate as we saw earlier with I think the weapon was looking at the red hologram. I think I paused it. But yeah, anyway, I think that was with the castle. I was talking about the castle. But we see a couple notifications here. We see some debris. And also, now that we have perspective, I actually know what this is. That's probably going to be the bridge that we go on to the castle. I wonder if it's going to be like a final boss thing. I think similar like Zelda: The Breath of the Wild. I forgot. I think you did go to fight that one guy's name. I'm not a huge Zelda fan, but anyway, yeah. So just a good look. I mean, just take it in, guys. I mean, there's not much to say about it. There's a lot of combat loops going on, and some foreigner structures, you know, and you kind of have an idea. Like, this map isn't insanely massive, you know. It's not like GTA 5. You could probably get from, you know, here to here in about, I guess, maybe 2 minutes on a Warthog. But yeah, I'm curious as to how that's going to work, because there's going to be enemies everywhere literally in the world, and of course, not everything's going to be on waypoints, right?
Zeta Halo is broken up into island.
And then we see even some more of the world here. My goodness, look at this huge mountain here. There's a lot going on here too, because I'm gonna guess we start over here, and then as time goes on, we can expand down south, and then when we get a flying vehicle. I could be wrong about that, but I assume that the tower will be off limits for the first part of the game. So yeah, we see another island here, some foreigner structures here. That might be actually a pillar, but the pillar is not present. Yeah, very cool.
In chunks. Land masses
also, someone said it's not the whole map. I'm very well aware that it's not the whole map.
can
But yeah. Obviously, I should point that out. This is not the whole map. Obviously, you can see right here, the map stretches out here, and I believe that it goes even further from the other stuff that we've seen. Like, this world is pretty big. It's just probably not super big.
connected by bridges, and Chief can eventually call in things like a wasp to fly around anywhere after
But it's still
they're
pretty big.
unlocked. So eventually we may get to freely explore unlocked areas. But
She said eventually explore areas. She's played the first 4 hours of the game, so let's listen to that one more time.
can be connected by bridges, and Chief can eventually call in things like a wasp to fly around anywhere after they're unlocked. So eventually we may get to freely explore unlocked areas, but our range will be limited and more focused at first. Zeta Halo is littered with UNSC camps called Forward Operating Bases that were claimed by the Banished after the UNSC lost the big fight. Clearing a base and reclaiming it replaces the Banished with Marines. Even better, cleared bases convert to instant fast travel points and earn you Valor. Worry not. Valor isn't some sort of spendable currency. It's instead a point-based tracker of how much ground the UNSC has on Zeta Halo. The more Valor you have, the better backup and gear you can call in.
So cool. The more bases you unlock, the more travel points you get, and the more stuff you can unlock at these FOBs, forward operating bases. Pretty much.
Fast travel points
Pretty
and
much
earn
what
you
she's saying.
Valor. Worry not. Valor isn't some sort of
And I believe that these bases can be taken back over by Banish, which is kind of a cool open world aspect, I guess. You know, you're kind of a part of this big war. You know, kind of cool.
currency. It's instead a point-based tracker of how much ground the UNSC has on Zeta Halo. The more Valor you have, the better backup and gear you can call in. As far as I could tell, earning Valor and reclaiming the Broken Ring is entirely optional. So what else can you do when you're not hunting down the next clue to the Banished plan? People don't just get to give the Master Chief a fetch quest. The only one who really gives Master Chief any sort of command is a new AI codenamed the Weapon. She's meant to destroy Cortana and is in turn supposed to be destroyed when
So there's
her
that
operation
UNSC
is
ship we
complete.
saw at first.
Though Cortana is seemingly gone, the Weapon remains and is happy to assist Master Chief until she reaches her eventual demise. Much like Cortana, the Weapon will call out enemy attacks, notable objectives,
Oh my
Banished
God.
facilities that need destroying, and Marines in need of rescuing.
I am so excited. This is so freaking cool. This is so freaking cool. We can see more of the world here. Obviously, it's big, man, and I believe it stretches up here even more. But this is really cool, man. The hype, I'm feeling it.
I was more likely to come across a random patrol of enemies than an actual objective, but it didn't feel like I had to go too far to find something fun to do. I enjoyed the quiet moments though. Following Zeta Halo's native space groundhogs or just enjoying the view was a pleasant reprieve from the action. When I was ready to get back to it though, I could
Space rhinos, I wonder where those guys are. A few things I've heard is that there's no snow biomes in this, which is kind of disappointing. In fact, it seems like as far as biomes go, this game's lacking a lot. It's going to be mostly what you see here, you know, pine forest, you know, kind of Seattle inspired, Washington inspired, you know. We see some kind of structure here. There's all kinds of weird little things. We have no idea what they're about or what they do, but there's some kind of like 400 pylon thing right here. And obviously wildlife, there's a lot of birds. I would like to see more wildlife. I hope there is. We know that there's no violent wildlife, which is disappointing, but whatever, this game still looks great.
From the action. When I was ready to get back to it though, I could also hunt down and eliminate special targets to collect a unique version of their signature weapon that—
Look how clean this art style is, by the way. It's so readable.
It's equipable at FOBs. And of course, there are plenty of collectibles. A new scanner tool does make them a bit easier to find, if you have an idea of where to look. The scanner's range is rather limited though, so it's not a free pass to finding secrets. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the grunt and marine dialogue. They're hilarious. The grunts are as silly and oddly aggressive as ever, and have a surprising number of lines.
So right here, guys, I believe that this is part of the very first mission in Halo Infinite. It certainly would make a lot of sense, because obviously the pilot finds Chief, wakes him up, reboots him, you know, and he jumps around as we saw in that trailer back in E3 time. And look right here. This is what I believe is going to be the very first mission. So just so you know.
Miss if I didn't mention the grunt and marine dialogue.
And also it's a junkyard. You can see a lot of UNSC stuff. Obviously the Banished recycles UNSC Covenant a lot of different materials to build their ships and armor and weapons and etc.
They're hilarious. The grunts are as silly and oddly aggressive as ever.
But I really like it too because it's like a graveyard. Even there you can see the UNSC thing. It's like a cool junkyard graveyard. You know, just showing how bad the UNSC lost here is a really cool, subtle way to show it, you know.
Have a surprising number of lines.
Humans would never fight grunts like us. He's here!
While the Marines are far more confident and excited about joining the Chief in battle. Their commentary made exploring all the more enjoyable.
Just in the nick of time, Chief.
Just because Zeta Halo is a larger, more open sandbox doesn't mean 343 suddenly has us doing puzzles or tasks unbecoming of a genetically augmented super soldier like Master Chief. Fighting enemies and destroying their stuff is always at the center of Halo Infinite's gameplay, and whether I was taking on a roaming pack of Banished or infiltrating a fortress for a story mission, the more open nature only served to give me more options for combat. If you've had a chance to check out either of the multiplayer test flights, Halo Infinite's excellence in weaponry should come as no surprise. The campaign introduced me to other interesting weapons we've yet to see in multiplayer, like the Disruptor, a small shock pistol that doesn't do too much immediate damage, but deals out pain over time.
Look at that guy fly, dude. So this is a first official gameplay. I haven't felt comfortable showing the leaked gameplay, but there has been gameplay of the Disruptor rifle, the cinder block something, which is like this plasma grenade launcher. Powerful weapon. It's insane. But there's been quite a few weapons that have been leaked. But this is the first official gameplay we have of the Disruptor, from my knowledge. Maybe there was in some of that terrible IGN gameplay, but yeah, this that I couldn't even make it through. But this is the Disruptor rifle. It can actually take down vehicles, and it apparently makes enemies freaking launch, man.
We've yet to see in multiplayer, like the Disruptor, a small shock pistol that doesn't do too much immediate damage, but deals out pain over time.
I'm so glad that they showed that, because you just know that's going to happen in multiplayer, right? I mean, it has to. I love seeing people just fly. Fly. Also, there's some blood right there. Whoa, shocker. That should warrant the game at M rating, right?
The equipment we've seen in multiplayer unsurprisingly takes on a more powerful form in the campaign. Each of the 5 equipment options, grapple shot, shield core, threat sensor, drop wall, and thruster, can be upgraded with a collectible called Spartan cores. Like most of the open world elements, finding the Spartan cores and upgrading equipment is optional. Master Chief won't start the adventure with all equipment either. You'll find new tools to play with at specific story beats.
The fact that she didn't mention any other kind of progression in the game makes me think that as far as open world elements go, that's pretty much what we got there. You get these Spartan cores and you can upgrade your stuff. Specifically this, the grapple shot stuns grappled enemies for several seconds. I believe that there's even, let's see, it stuns them. I guess it's kind of like an electric shock. Volt, it says volt something. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if any of this stuff will be available in custom games, like multiplayer, if there will be some kind of functionality to, maybe not at launch, but maybe after there's enough traction for it. I do like the idea of making these equipment items even more dynamic, and hopefully we see even more after launch being added to multiplayer.
Called Spartan cores. Like most of the open world elements, finding the Spartan cores and upgrading equipment is optional. Master Chief won't start the adventure with all equipment either.
And what do we have there? That's the Banished ship. That is the Banished mothership right there. Y'all see that? I just noticed that.
You'll find new tools to play with at specific story beats.
Come on, look at it.
Lacking a piece of equipment doesn't necessarily mean you're blocked off from certain areas from what I saw. But getting
Damn it, she doesn't look at it. Okay.
a piece of
So, that's the Banished mothership, man. I wholeheartedly believe that this is something of like the new High Charity. Obviously, you can't ever beat High Charity. It's too iconic, but this is cool. I think maybe are we in the ship in this gameplay here? I'm wondering that because why is there a hologram sitting right there if we're not inside the ship right now? In fact, there's like a little more hologram details right there. Maybe that's where we are in the ship. But I think it would be really cool to get into this thing and maybe we don't take it down in this game, but maybe we will later, in Halo Infinite 2. It's a terrible name, but you know what I mean. We're not in the ship. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I think it'd be cool. Someone said something, Halo follower, they confirmed that those talents are only available in campaign. Okay, yeah, the upgrades. All right, I believe you on that. I think that's
You'll find new
believable.
tools to play with at specific story beats. Lacking a piece of equipment doesn't necessarily mean you're blocked off from certain areas from what I saw, but getting to or taking on difficult encounters might be more manageable should you have more equipment.
Whoa. So I just noticed that. Wow, that looks epic, man. Now that is a war zone, man. I mean, I like seeing this kind of stuff. And it really does look like it blew up and got destroyed. And I don't think that's the Infinity. Is it? Is that the Infinity? There's no way that's the Infinity. Right? Because I remember seeing those. I mean, the Infinity is like, what, 3 or 4 miles long, so I'm not saying that's the bulk of the ship or anything. But I almost want to just take a look at the... No. The Infinity is massive. Like, this would be a 2% of it, 3% of the ship or something. But I don't know. Maybe I'm going on a tangent here. But anyway, this is a really cool, beautiful kind of environment here. I love it. Yeah, and something about the flames, I will say, is something I haven't ever talked about or brought up much, but it is something I've been thinking about. Explosions and fire kind of don't look that great. Like, it looked better in Halo Reach, in, I believe, even Halo 4 and 5. The explosions and flames just don't look that great in the game, but again, maybe that's something with the art style. I think they could look better, but yeah.
Most of the big story beats happen
Just
in large
opinion.
foreboding structures that could be viewed as something akin to dungeons. These offer a more classic Halo experience. Grunts, jackals, brutes, and elites made up the bulk of the opponents I faced. Their role, weapon, and armor variety didn't feel lacking in combat. I came across.
I love the
Their
physics.
grunts, jackals.
So here's from what we saw the concept art. It looks like we're in some kind of. Oh man, we do know a place called the auditorium. I don't know if that's what this is. We do. I think it does take place later in the
elites
game.
made up.
But I do like what's going on here. We can see some shenanigans. The Foreigner hex walls kind of broken up. I'm going to assume we're jumping around here, which is probably going to be a repeating thing that we see throughout the campaign. Mahler looks great. It's got a lot of crap on it. And just like the Foreigner, I mean, like the lighting, everything just looks so beautiful. Like I'm really... It feels like Halo really is returning to its roots, you know? I just hope that it's not dull. I think this repeating of Halo 1, like trying to make all the Halo games feel like and play like Halo 1 is... I've never really been a big fan of that. Like maybe with Halo Reach made sense and that's where it was supposed to be, but I really don't like seeing this over-evolving of Halo 5, of Halo like in Halo 5 or Halo 4, which really was just trying to follow trends of other games, which they admitted like a year ago. I'm kind of ever so worried, and I'm probably going to be crucified for saying this, is that will playing against jackals, brutes, and grunts, like she just said, which is the bulk of the enemies we'll be fighting in the game, is that going to get repetitive or, dare I say, boring? And I believe it's a mix. Like, the Covenant's fun because of a large mix. You know, they all kind of play with each other in the sense that they all kind of like... when you're fighting against the hunters and the drones, I think that adds like a whole nother aspect of the game. We do know that the skimmers are going to be behaving sort of like the drones in that they're flying, they have the shock rifles, they're firing down on you at some point. She said that in the first 4 hours of the hands-on campaign gameplay that she played, there was no skimmers. So 4 hours fighting the same 3 enemies, is that a concern? You let me know. But I'm just saying that's what I heard here. It sounds like, I mean, but I mean, obviously Halo gameplay is more than just the enemies, you know, it's a whole slew of things, right? It's strategy, there's map control, even in campaign, you know, there's dynamicness, there's vehicles, there's weapons, the sandbox, you know. But I'm worried, and there's also boss battles. There looks like there's a healthy amount of boss battles, and apparently they're fun. If you missed it, maybe she hasn't said it yet, the person that played this said that they had no trouble going through the campaign on heroic, probably because they're competent, unlike some of the other IGN players. But she did die fighting the boss, some of the boss battles. So, yeah, I like that. I like that there's going to be boss battles. We know Jaga's going to be a boss battle. We know that other guy, Tet something, I'd have to look at it again, but there's another dude which I think we saw in the cutscene, and then there's probably Ashurim himself near the end, I'm guessing. Hopefully he doesn't die in some cutscene. I hate it when main characters die in cutscenes. I want to be a part of it, and I think that's something 343 is starting to learn, like Halo 2 with Tartarus, Halo 3 with Guilty Spark. You know, I think you give that power to the players. And hopefully Joseph Staten, if he saw any of this cutscene BS where, you know, unless it was absolutely needed, hopefully they turned cutscenes into gameplay, because it's always more fun that way, in my opinion. These cutscenes are beautiful, but I want to be a part of the story. I don't want to just watch the story unfold and then just be in, you know, in the betweens. You know, I want to be a part of it, right? Maybe I'm alone on this, but that's what I'm saying. So. It's my belief.
Most of the big story beats happen in large foreboding structures that could be viewed as something akin to dungeons.
Dungeons.
These offer a more classic Halo experience. Grunts, jackals, brutes, and elites made up the bulk of the opponents I faced. Their role, weapon, and armor variety didn't feel lacking in combat. I came across one set
So she did say
their
something.
role, weapon, and armor variety didn't
The role, weapon. Yeah, obviously, like I said, there's a lot to the gameplay more than just like the types of enemies you're fighting. But these guys look smart. They look dynamic. And
lacking
I
in
love the
combat.
flying. Look at this guy. He's just flying away. Reacting to the explosion. So cool.
and armor variety didn't feel lacking in combat. I came across one set of brutes that were so geared up they nearly qualified as a mini boss fight. The hunters make a return too, and are fun to fight as always. This being another ring, the Flood was alluded to, though I never saw them. The Prometheans weren't present either.
So, two big things right there. Okay.
The hunters make a return too.
The hunters make a return. And I believe that they're going to be more difficult than ever. I think that's what Joseph Staten alluded to in a Halo Waypoint post about 6, 7, 8 months ago. I forgot exactly what he said, but it's not your normal hunter. And that's because we're not our normal Master Chief. We have equipment this time. We have the grappling hook. We have the shield core. We have a lot of different utilities on hand. And I would like to see the Banished behave in a more advanced, complex way as well. If you add complexity to the player, I think you should add complexity to the gameplay. And she also said that the Flood are mentioned, our beloved Flood. But there's been rumors, there has been pretty strong evidence from what I've seen and heard. There is no Flood in this game. Maybe at some point there was Flood supposed to be in this game, but I don't think there's room for it. Because narratively, there's a lot going on here. And in Halo 1, I think there was room for it. Plenty of room for the Flood that added to the story. But here, I don't think the Flood's going to be present. Which is a huge shame, because that is a huge part of the game. But I wonder if we're ever going to see the Flood again. If this is true, like this wonderful... I wish I could give credit, but there's been a trend with video games that have been removing blood from the game. And while there is some blood here, it looks like it's enough to be able to sell in China with China's new policy. So that is one aspect. Also, the game's got to be T-rated, and I don't think the Flood could survive the T rating. I really don't. We've never had a Halo game with the Flood that's been T-rated, except for, I believe, Halo Wars. I believe Halo Wars was T-rated. Let me just check on that real quick. But I don't... Yeah, it was. Okay. But that's a top-down shooter. This is a little bit more up close and personal. You guys let me know what you think about that.
And are fun to fight as always. This being another ring, the Flood was alluded to, though I never saw them. The Prometheans weren't present either. 343's vision of recapturing the essence of Combat Evolved in Halo Infinite means there's not really room for them, and honestly, I had plenty of fun without them. I didn't see any drones either, so I'm hoping the new flying enemies equipped with hardlight weapons, the skimmers, will be their replacement. The real combat stars, though, are the boss fights.
Yeah,
The
here we
first
go.
one with the brute lieutenant named Tremonius absolutely
Tremonus.
kicked my ass at first on
Tremendous.
heroic difficulty. A moment without movement rewarded Tremonius as he entered the...
You know what? This is so beautiful. Like, I just want to... I know this isn't really an analysis or breakdown, but I do think it's important enough to mention that obviously every Halo game is going to have its negatives, and every Halo game is going to have its positives, a great man once told me. And obviously Halo Infinite is missing some things that have been beloved about the other Halo games. But it also has some things that I do believe are going to age very well, including the campaign itself. I think that the campaign is really something special here. I love the design so much of this game, and I really did not think I was going to. Like, my perception of this game is changing rapidly as we know more and more about this game as we go on. But I think, obviously, like, I miss the Covenant, and that's always going to be a big part of Halo for me, but this is, like, not that bad of a change-up, you know? I don't know how they did it, but the Banished really are not that bad of a inclusion into the Halo series, because obviously the Covenant are not here. We do know that the Keepers of the One Freedom, I believe that they still wear the Covenant armor, which is why we've seen some of them working with the Banished. And I'm curious how the Harbingers are going to play into it in the Harbinger army, if there is such a thing. But yeah, this is I'm just like, this is so great, man. I love the holograms. I love the aesthetics. It just warms my heart, man.
Are the boss fights. The first one with the brute lieutenant named Termonius absolutely kicked my ass at first on heroic difficulty. A moment without movement rewarded Termonius as he entered the encounter guns blazing and took me out twice in a row. I had been handling heroic without any issues up until that point, so I was stunned to see how Termonius' aggression and support from 2 jackals paid off. I quickly got to work on a strategy and happily took on the challenge.
So yeah, boss battles I believe are going to be really fun. I hope that maybe he just does, maybe he does die, maybe he comes back later, but I really hope that there's a good healthy amount of boss battles in this, and I hope that they're different. I wonder how Jaga's going to behave too, because he's got 2 melee weapons. I wonder if he's going to be firing anything, because if he's going to be up on our grill the whole time, then that's going to be difficult. Also, someone said that this is not heroic. I don't think it is either. They would be dead by now. And also, this gameplay kind of looks a little bit like show-offy, like they're not really trying.
Heroic without any issue.
And I believe they're not trying because they're like playing more proactively than they lead on in the gameplay. It's just like,
so I was stunned to see how
obviously this is trying to showcase. I feel like if anyone here in the chat was actually trying to kill this guy, I feel like you could wipe him out in like 30 seconds.
Support from 2 jackals paid off.
But I really hope boss battles aren't like that. You know, boss battles have segments, and you know, one classic thing you see with boss battles throughout games is that they, you know, you take out their first level, and then they, you know, shake it off, and then they introduce some new element, and you can't even shoot them. So it would be cool if this guy could take control of these boss battles. Some of these boss battles could be like where the guy takes control of the experience and says, has like some, you know, overshield charge thing where you can't even touch him. I think Tartarus did something similar to that in Halo 2, but I like the idea where there's a point where the player has to completely evade, where there's nothing they can do but evade, because it's pretty easy to just spam grenade and wipe out these boss battles. I hope that there's been real thought put into these guys. Is what I'm saying, really.
Work on a strategy and happily took on the challenge. I have thus far only explored a fraction of Halo Infinite. Though the map isn't as large as something you'd find in an Assassin's Creed. Far from it, I'd say. What it does hold seems to offer something more curated with excellent combat at its heart. The story part is what I'm most curious about now. 343 needs to stick the landing in the plot department, especially with regard to giving us a satisfying resolution to the Chief and Cortana's relationship. If they can finally deliver that well-rounded classic Halo experience, then they'll have successfully and definitively made Halo their own. For more on Halo Infinite, check out our exclusive reveal of the new Streets multiplayer map, and stay tuned all November long for more IGN first coverage.
We're gonna check out the new screenshots.
Excellent combat
here in a
at its
second.
heart. The story part is what I'm most curious about now. 343 needs to stick the landing.
I'm so glad that they added that in, because, you know, before it was just like kind of an awkward hologram and the child was missing. And
the plot department, especially with regard to giving us a satisfying resolution to the Chief and Cortana's relationship. If they can finally deliver that well-rounded classic Halo experience, then they'll have successfully and definitively made Halo their own. For more on Halo Infinite, check out our exclusive reveal of the new Streets multiplayer map, and stay tuned all November long for more IGN first coverage on Master Chief's latest adventure.
So there is not too much to say about everything here. I do want to say real quick, I'm also trying to look for the screenshots, because I do want to show you guys that. There is some gameplay here, some screenshots, which hopefully I'll be able to find. I don't know where people are getting these screenshots right now, honestly. There's a lot coming out from Halo Infinite Game Informer. Let's look that up real quick. Yeah, maybe that'll be it. Nope. Nope. Well, that's not where I'm trying to go. Oh, no, I don't want to watch my own live stream. My bad.
Herself.
I'm just gonna play this real quick, guys,
Hello,
while I'm looking
Master
for these
Chief.
screenshots, because they are
I'm
juicy.
Cortana.
This all being said, I'm not optimistic that Halo Infinite is going to be a great starting point for new people to the franchise.
Here we go,
As the
here we
best
go, here we
moments
go.
I saw in the first few hours rely on prior knowledge of the series. I don't like the idea of people being left behind, but I selfishly prefer that this game is made
Alright.
to return.
So, here we have Game Informer. We got some beautiful screenshots, man. Look at this. Off the Golden Path. So, Golden Path is usually like, you know, that's the main campaign quest. So, I guess in this post they're going to be talking about... I really should probably make a video regarding this exact thing here, but breaking this down. But, yeah, we have a couple brand new screenshots here. I might just need to find the others on Twitter, because everyone's posting them, and I haven't had time to find them for myself. But, yeah, that doesn't get bigger, unfortunately. But we have an outpost here. And the lighting just looks so great, man. So beautiful. Let's see if we can find anything on... Oh, yeah. I mean, this one's not new or anything, but it's cool to, like, remember where we've come from, right? How much more stuff we know now. This is Red Dead Redemption 2, okay. There's a lot of posts right now. That was a screenshot, my friend. What y'all just saw. I don't know, maybe that was actually it. Oh yeah, there's this too. This is absolutely beautiful. So I know this is official, even though it's some kind of Russian post, but I have seen this around. This is, I believe, the thumbnail artwork for the IGN first 4-hour breakdown. But man, it's this. Oh, look at Shurum's eye. God, look at this color combo too. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous work here. What a risk, man. I mean, maybe it's not that risky, but it feels nice to see Halo back. Too, something that the fans are actually genuinely excited for. Now, I don't want to be a buzzkill or anything, but people were pretty excited about Halo 5 right before it came out, if you remember. We thought we were getting something like... But the difference is that everything we've seen so far, narratively, story-wise, and everything, is very respectful. Like, I do remember when Halo 5's marketing was coming out that there was concern, and where I was kind of wary about, like, is this actually going to work? You know, it's pretty risky. There's a lot going on here, and there were, like, a lot of warning signs in hindsight. But now, since we've all been through that, I'm looking at this, and I really don't think that this is another Halo 5. It does look like a 343 game, but it does look like there's been, like, some really careful thought put into it. It's absolutely beautiful, man. I mean, Halo 5 was also beautiful in its own right, but there's just something about the art style that's been really, like, refined. Man, am I excited for this. But yeah, Halo is back, guys. Thank you so much for watching my breakdown of the campaign. I gotta go eat and take care of life stuff, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Since I did this video, I probably won't be talking about this video much more unless something comes up, but there's gonna be a lot of news coming out here soon. I imagine we are less than 30 days away, right? I think we're more like in the 26, 27 days left. That is insane. We're getting close to 3 weeks left. There's some rumors that Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to drop randomly on November 15th, which would not be completely crazy because there has been signs that the campaign needs a little bit of extra work, but the multiplayer doesn't. And Phil Spencer was talking about releasing them both, and that's been a rumor that has been confirmed to be valid. Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, did say that no, we want to release these together, but I think that was more like the 6-month worry, like are they going to be separated by 6 months, but with campaign releasing later. But within what would that be, November 15th? That's like about 2.5 weeks, maybe about 3 weeks actually. Sorry, about 3 weeks. I keep forgetting we're actually near the 15th, but we're about 3 weeks. That would be about 3 weeks before the campaign drops. So I don't think that'd be crazy. But yeah, and one other comment I do feel like I need to get off my chest is what is with the IGN guys playing like not so great, man. I mean, they have one job, which is to talk about video games. You think they might be a little bit better? I mean, I kind of suck at Halo, but some of the gameplay that we've seen so far is just not actually doing the game justice, and I think that's just straight up bad marketing. Like, get someone at 343, get an esports guy to record some gameplay. Even get like a pro player, IGN, and just someone that really knows games, you know, first person shooters. Maybe get someone that knows RTS games and let them play all the RTS games, you know, for these kind of reveals. I have yet to talk about this, partly because I have no idea or real speculation to say about this. It's beautiful. It's the thumbnail. Ironically, I have not much to say about it. Other than Master Chief's holding a stalker rifle, which I thought was kind of interesting. We do know that the cutscenes are going to be live in game, and they're going to directly represent the player's weapons, the time of day, things like that in the cutscenes, which is going to add a little bit more immersion. What's going on here? I don't know. Maybe they're investigating Cortana's destruction and what happened to Cortana exactly. So, anyways, guys, if I manage to get a review copy of the game, I will hopefully be making a full review myself like this, and I can't wait for that. I'm just going to sit down for like 12 hours and play through the game. I don't know if I should do the early review or if I should just play through the campaign. Maybe I could do both. But it would be cool to have my live reaction like on webcam when I'm playing the game live with you guys. But I take it a lot of y'all will probably already be playing the game. But anyways, guys, I will catch you soon. Maybe with another lore accurate before Halo Infinite comes out. Halo, but it's lore accurate video. Y'all seem to really like the other one. But I'll catch you guys soon. All right, you take care. Peace.